It was a Thursday evening, 8 months into their marriage when everything began to unravel. Laura was driving home from an especially grueling day at the office. A major hotel deal had fallen through and she was exhausted. Rain pounded against the windshield as Mr. Henderson navigated the winding road that led to the estate. Then a figure darted into the road. "Stop!" Laura screamed. Mr. Henderson slammed on the brakes, and the car skidded to a halt inches from a woman who stood in the downpour, wild-eyed and shaking. She was young, maybe Laura's age, with her clothes torn and her face covered in bruises. "Ma'am, please move," Mr. Henderson called out the window. But the woman ran to Laura's door, banging on it desperately. "Please, please help me. He's coming. He's going to kill me." Laura's heart clenched. Despite Mr. Henderson's protests, she rolled down her window. "Who's coming? What happened?" "My husband," the woman sobbed, rain and tears mingling on her face. "He kept me locked up. Months. I just escaped. He's chasing me. Please. I have nowhere to go, no family, nothing, please." Laura looked at the bruises, the terror in the woman's eyes, and made a decision. "Get in the car." "Miss Laura," Mr. Henderson began. "Get in." Laura repeated firmly to the woman, then to her driver, "Take us home. We'll call the police from there." The woman scrambled into the back seat, dripping and shivering. "Thank you," she whispered. "God bless you. Thank you." "What's your name?" Laura asked gently, handing her a blanket from the car. "Sophia," the woman said. "Sophia Martinez." At the mansion, Laura gave Sophia dry clothes, a hot meal, and a guest room. The police came and took a report, but Sophia refused to go to a shelter or press charges, terrified her husband would find her. "I just need somewhere safe," she pleaded, "just for a few days until I figure out what to do." "You can stay here," Laura heard herself saying, "as long as you need." Sam came home to find a strange woman eating dinner in their dining room, and his surprise was evident. "Laura, what's going on?" She explained the situation, watching as Sam's face went through a range of emotions, surprise, concern, and something else she couldn't quite identify. "That's very generous of you," he said slowly. "But are you sure that's wise?" "We don't know this woman. She needs help," Laura said firmly. "We have more than enough room, more than enough resources." "It's the right thing to do," Sam smiled, that charming smile that had won her heart years ago. "Of course you're right. I'm sorry. That was insensitive. Sophia, welcome to our home. Stay as long as you need." Sophia looked between them, something unreadable flickering in her eyes. "Thank you both. You're angels. Both of you." Sophia proved to be a pleasant house guest. At first, she was quiet, helpful, and grateful for everything. She insisted on helping around the house despite Laura's protests. "Please let me do something," Sophia would say. "I need to feel useful, not like charity." "You're not charity, you're a guest," Laura would reply. "Just rest and heal." Laura noticed the way Sophia would flinch at loud noises, how she'd check the windows obsessively, the nightmares that had her crying out in the night. Her heart ached for the woman, and she was determined to help her rebuild her life. What Laura didn't notice was the way Sophia watched Sam, the way her eyes would linger on him when he walked into a room, the way she'd find excuses to be where he was. And she definitely didn't notice the way Sam started looking back. 3 months after Sophia moved in, Laura started noticing changes in her own body. She was tired all the time, more than the usual exhaustion from running a company. She felt foggy, like her thoughts were moving through molasses. Sometimes she'd forget things, simple things, like where she'd put her keys or what meeting she had scheduled. "Maybe you're pregnant," Sam suggested one evening when she mentioned it. "You've been trying, right?" Laura's heart leaped at the possibility. Maybe. I should take a test, but the test was negative. And the one after that, and the one after that. Her doctor ran tests. Everything came back normal. "It's probably stress," Dr. Chen told her. "Running a major corporation, managing grief, the pressure of trying to conceive, it takes a toll." Maybe consider therapy, some stress management techniques. Laura tried everything: meditation, yoga, cutting back her hours at work. Nothing helped. In fact, she seemed to be getting worse. She started having mood swings, sudden bursts of anger over nothing, followed by deep depressions that left her unable to get out of bed. She'd snap at employees who'd worked for the company for decades, then cry for hours afterward, horrified at her own behavior. "I don't understand what's wrong with me," she sobbed to Sam one night. "I feel like I'm losing my mind." Sam held her, stroking her hair. "Shh, baby, it's okay. You're just going through a rough patch. It'll pass," but it didn't pass. It got worse. What Laura couldn't know, was that her evening tea, prepared so thoughtfully by Sophia, contained a carefully measured dose of a substance designed to do exactly what was happening to her. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nothing that would show up on standard tests, but enough to slowly unravel her mental state. Sophia would brew the tea with a concerned smile. "You look tired, Laura. Here, I made you some chamomile. It'll help you sleep." And Laura would drink it gratefully, trusting the woman she'd saved. In the kitchen, late at night, Sophia and Sam would meet in whispered conversations. "How much longer?" Sophia hissed. "I'm tired of playing the grateful refugee. I want her gone." "Patience," Sam murmured, his hands on her waist, hands that should have been reserved for his wife. "We can't rush this. It has to look natural. A mental breakdown, gradual deterioration. Then the doctors will recommend long-term care. I'll get power of attorney, and once the trust fund comes through..." "5 years is a long time to wait," Sophia pouted. "Not when there's $500 million at the end of it." Sam kissed her neck. "Besides, we have each other now. Isn't that worth a little patience?" Sophia smiled, a cold, calculating expression that would have terrified Laura if she had seen it. "I suppose, but I want her gone soon. I hate the way she looks at you, like you actually belong to her." "I belong to myself," Sam said, "and soon I'll belong to a fortune that will set us up for life." Laura was always just the means to an end. "Did you ever love her?" Sophia asked curiously. "Even a little?" Sam thought about the 12-year-old girl who'd smiled at him in the garden, the teenager who'd defended him against bullies, the woman who'd given him everything. He thought about the years of friendship, the laughter, the trust. "No," he lied. "She was always just a meal ticket. A fat, pathetic girl who was so desperate for love that she couldn't see what was right in front of her face." The truth was more complicated. Sam had cared for Laura once in his own way. But years of watching her have everything while he had nothing, years of being the help son, had twisted that affection into resentment. And when Sophia had arrived, beautiful and broken and clearly interested in him, it had been easy to justify the betrayal. After all, he deserved this, didn't he? Laura's condition deteriorated rapidly over the next few months. The board of Whitmore Enterprises watched with growing concern as their young CEO became increasingly erratic. "She canceled 3 major meetings this week," reported James Morrison, the CFO. "And when she did show up yesterday, she accused me of stealing from the company. Me, I've been here for 20 years. "Something's wrong with her," added Michelle Parker, VP of Operations. "This isn't stress. This is something else." Sam, attending the meeting as Laura's husband and consultant, played his role perfectly. "I'm worried sick," he said, his face the picture of concern. "At home, it's even worse. She has paranoid delusions, accuses me and the staff of plotting against her. Her mood swings are severe. I've tried to get her help, but she refuses." "Maybe it's time for an intervention," suggested Morrison. Sam nodded slowly as if the idea pained him. "I think you're right. I hate to do this to her, but we have to think about the company, and more importantly, about Laura's health." What the board didn't know was that Sam had been carefully documenting every one of Laura's episodes he and Sophia had induced. He had videos, witness statements from carefully coached staff members, medical records showing her instability. He was building it a case. At home, Laura was deteriorating in other ways too. The drug Sophia was giving her had another side effect. They were making it impossible for her to get pregnant. Every negative test was another heartbreak, another crack in Laura's already fragile mental state. "Why won't it happen?" she sobbed to Sam one night, clutching yet another negative pregnancy test. "We've been trying for months. What's wrong with me?" "Nothing's wrong with you," Sam soothed, even as he knew exactly why she wasn't conceiving. Sophia had made sure of that. "These things take time." "I just want a family," Laura whispered. "I want our baby. I want something that's ours, something good and pure and perfect." Sam held her while she cried and felt nothing but impatience. The trust fund would be accessible in just under 4 years. He'd waited this long. He could wait a little longer. Sophia, meanwhile, had her own news. She was pregnant with Sam's child. They had been careful, but accidents happened. When she told him, Sam's first reaction was panic. "You can't be," he hissed. "We were careful." "Well, apparently not careful enough." Sophia's hand went to her still flat stomach. "What are we going to do?" "Get rid of it," Sam said immediately. Sophia's eyes flashed with anger. "Excuse me? We can't have a baby right now. It'll ruin everything. Laura will know it's not hers. The timeline won't work." "I'm not getting rid of our baby," Sophia said firmly. "I want this child." "Your child." They argued in fierce whispers, but ultimately Sophia won. She would keep the pregnancy secret for as long as possible. Then they'd figure out how to explain it. Maybe Laura would be so far gone by then that it wouldn't matter. Maybe Laura would be dead. The intervention came on a cold February morning. Laura woke up to find her bedroom full of people: Sam, Dr. Chen, a psychiatrist she'd never met, and 2 members of the Whitmore Enterprises board. "What's going on?" she asked, confusion and fear warring in her voice. Sam took her hand with apparent gentleness. "Baby, we're worried about you." "We all are. Your behavior lately." "What behavior?" Laura tried to pull her hand away, but he held firm. "I'm fine." "You're not fine," Dr. Chen said gently. "Laura, your mood swings, your paranoia, your inability to focus, these are serious symptoms. We think you need professional help." "I need help?" Laura looked around wildly. "This is insane. I don't need help. I need all of you to get out of my room." The psychiatrist, Dr. Reeves, stepped forward. "Mrs. Washington, I've reviewed your case. Based on the documentation your husband has provided, the videos, the incidents at work, the erratic behavior, I believe you're experiencing a severe mental health crisis, possibly a psychotic break." "Psychotic break?" Laura's voice rose. "I'm not crazy." "No one's saying you're crazy," Sam said soothingly, but his eyes were cold, calculating. "Just that you need help. We want to admit you somewhere you can rest, get the treatment you need." "You want to lock me up," Laura said, finally understanding. Horror crept over her. "You want to put me in a mental institution?" "It's for your own good," Morrison said, "and for the good of the company." "Laura, you're not well enough to run Whitmore Enterprises right now." "So what? You're going to take it from me?" Laura looked at Sam. "You're going to take my company?" "I'm going to protect it," Sam said. "Just temporarily until you're better. As your husband, I can assume power of attorney." "No!" Laura jumped out of bed, backing away from all of them. "No, you can't do this. I won't let you." But she had no choice. Dr. Reeves had already signed the paperwork for an involuntary psychiatric hold. Within hours, Laura was being escorted out of her own mansion, heading to a private psychiatric facility where she'd be treated for conditions she didn't have. As the car pulled away, Sophia watched from an upstairs window, a small smile on her face. Sam stood beside her, his hand on her stomach where their secret grew. "How long will they keep her?" Sophia asked. "As long as we need them to," Sam replied. "I've already spoken to the director. She'll receive treatment that will keep her confused and compliant. And every day she's in there, I'll be here, consolidating control of her company and her assets. And then, when the time is right, we'll make sure she never comes back. At the facility, Laura was given medications that made her foggy and docile. She tried to tell the doctors she wasn't sick, that her husband was poisoning her, that something was wrong. But her words were dismissed as paranoid delusions, classic symptoms of persecutory delusions, wrote Dr. Reeves in her chart. Patient believes loved ones are plotting against her. Recommend continued antipsychotic medication in intensive therapy. Laura felt herself slipping away. The drugs they gave her on top of whatever Sophia had been feeding her created a perfect storm of confusion. Days blurred together. She forgot why she was fighting, what she was fighting for. But sometimes in the clear moments between doses, she'd remember. Remember Sam's eyes when they took her away, not sad but satisfied. Remember Sophia's smile. Remember her grandfather's warnings that she'd ignored. I was such a fool, she whispered to herself in her sterile white room. Such a fool. After 3 weeks, Laura was released. The doctors deemed her stable on her new medication regimen, medication she was required to take daily. She returned to the mansion to find everything changed. Sam had moved into the master suite fully, had taken over her study, had restructured half the company's executive team. He greeted her with a kiss and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Welcome home, baby. We've missed you. Sophia stood behind him, and Laura could have sworn she saw the woman's hand rest protectively on her stomach for just a moment. But the drugs made Laura doubt everything she saw, everything she felt. Was she imagining things? Was she really sick? The medication they'd given her at the facility, combined with whatever Sophia continued to slip into her food and drinks, kept Laura in a constant state of confusion. She'd forget conversations, misplace things, have gaps in her memory that terrified her. You're doing so well, Sam would tell her, even as he quietly transferred more of her assets into accounts he controlled. Just keep taking your medicine. Keep resting. Everything will be fine. And Laura, lost in a fog of pharmaceutical manipulation, could do nothing but comply. It was a sound that woke her. Laura had been asleep in the guest room. Sam said she needed her own space to recover properly, though really it was because he couldn't stand sharing a bed with her anymore. The medication had worn off earlier than usual that night, leaving her head clearer than it had been in weeks. The sound came again, low voices, intimate, coming from downstairs. Something in Laura's gut told her to investigate. She crept out of bed, moving silently through the darkened hallways of her own home. The voices grew clearer as she approached the living room. Can't wait much longer, Sophia's voice, urgent and frustrated. When is she going to die? Laura froze at the top of the stairs, her hand gripping the banister. Patience, baby, Sam replied, and Laura's heart cracked at the endearment, the one he used to whisper to her. The trust fund will be accessible in just a few weeks. Once I have legal control of that, we can expedite things. I'm tired of pretending, Sophia snapped. Tired of playing the grateful house guest while that cow lives in luxury. I want what's mine, what we deserve. Laura peered around the corner and saw them. Sam and Sophia on the couch, his arm around her head on his shoulder. Intimate, familiar, together. Soon, Sam promised. Soon we'll have everything. The mansion, the company, the money, all of it. And Laura will be nothing but a memory. A fat, pathetic memory, Sophia added with a cruel laugh. God, how did you stand being married to her? Touching her must have been like touching a beached whale. Sam laughed, actually laughed. It was torture. Every time she wanted to be intimate, I had to close my eyes and think of, well, you. Sophia giggled. At least it's almost over. And then, her hand moved to her stomach again, and this time Laura saw it clearly, the small swell that hadn't been there before. Then we can be a real family. You, me, and our baby. Laura's gasp was small, but in the silent house it was enough. Sam's head snapped up. Did you hear something? Laura tried to retreat, but her foot caught on the carpet. She stumbled, catching herself on the wall, and the sound echoed through the foyer. Someone's there, Sophia hissed. Laura ran. She didn't think, didn't plan. She just ran, her heart pounding, her mind reeling from what she'd heard. Behind her, she heard footsteps, heard Sam calling her name. She made it to the main staircase before her foot caught on her nightgown. She fell, tumbling down the marble stairs, her head cracking against the banister with a sickening thud. The world spun. Pain exploded through her skull. She tried to get up, tried to crawl away, but her body wouldn't cooperate. Sam and Sophia appeared above her, looking down at where she lay crumpled at the bottom of the stairs. She heard everything, Sophia said, panic in her voice. Everything! She'll ruin us! No, Sam said coldly, his face a mask Laura no longer recognized. She won't. Laura's vision blurred as Sam descended the stairs. She tried to speak, tried to tell him she loved him, trusted him, given him everything, but the words wouldn't come. Get the syringe, Sam told Sophia, the one I prepared. This is better anyway, more believable than an accidental fall. Through her haze of pain and betrayal, Laura watched Sophia disappear and return with a syringe filled with clear liquid. What are you doing? Laura finally managed to whisper. Sam knelt beside her, his face showing no remorse. What I should have done months ago. You were always just a means to an end, Laura. A fat, desperate girl who was so starved for love that she couldn't see the truth. I never loved you. I never even liked you. You were just easy. Tears streamed down Laura's face. But we were friends. Best friends. Since we were kids. We were never friends, Sam said cruelly. I was the help's son, and you were my ticket to a better life. Everything I did, every laugh we shared, every moment under that stupid magnolia tree, it was all an act. All of it. Sophia handed him the syringe and Sam held it up to the light. This will make you sleep. A very deep sleep. And then we'll take care of the rest. Please, Laura begged, her voice breaking. Please don't do this. I'm your wife. We were supposed to have a family. I'm having a family, Sam said, gesturing to Sophia, with someone I actually want. Someone beautiful, not some overweight charity case who couldn't take a hint. He plunged the needle into her arm, and Laura felt the drug begin to work immediately. The world started to fade, darkness creeping in at the edges of her vision. I loved you, she whispered, as consciousness slipped away. I really loved you. The last thing she heard was Sophia's voice. What do we do with her now? And Sam's cold reply, we get rid of her. Permanently. Laura woke to darkness and the smell of wet canvas. Her body was cramped, confined. It took her foggy brain a moment to realize she was inside something. A bag, rough and heavy. Panic surged through her, cutting through the drug-induced haze. She tried to move, but her limbs were heavy, uncooperative. She could hear voices outside her canvas prison. Heavier than I thought, Sam grunted. What did you put in her food? Cement. Shut up and drive, Sophia snapped. We need to get rid of her before anyone notices she's gone. The night staff saw her go to bed. When they find her missing in the morning, we'll say she wandered off in a delusional state. Where are we going? Sam asked. The Chattahoochee River. The current's strong this time of year. By the time they find her, if they find her, it'll look like a suicide. Mentally ill woman unable to cope drowns herself. Tragic. Laura tried to scream, but whatever drug they'd given her had paralyzed her vocal cords. She could only make small whimpering sounds that didn't carry beyond the bag. The car stopped. Doors opened and slammed. Laura felt herself being lifted. Sam and Sophia carrying her between them like a sack of garbage. On three, Sam said. 1, 2, 3. Laura felt herself flying through the air, had one moment of weightlessness. Then, the impact with the water was shocking, cold beyond anything she'd imagined. the canvas bag filled with water, dragging her down. She struggled, fought against the drug and the weight and the darkness, but it was no use. Down, down, down she sank into the black water. Her last conscious thought was of her grandfather, wishing she'd listened to his warnings. Then nothing. Light, warmth, the smell of fish and river water. Laura's eyes fluttered open to find herself in a small, unfamiliar room. Rough wooden walls, a single window showing dawn light, a crackling fireplace. "Easy now," said a deep voice. "Don't try to move too fast. You've been through hell." Laura turned her head. Even in that small movement sent pain shooting through her, to see a man sitting beside her bed. He was older, maybe 60, with dark skin weathered by years of sun and water, kind eyes, and strong hands that held a warm cup. "Who?" Laura's voice was a croak. "Where?" "Name's Robert," the man said. "Robert Jenkins. Found you washed up on the riverbank about 4 miles south of the city. Thought you were dead at first, but then I saw you breathing. Barely, but breathing." Memory crashed over Laura like a wave. Sam, Sophia, the syringe, the river. They tried to kill me," she whispered, tears spilling over. "I figured it was something like that," Robert said grimly. "The bag you were in, the bruises on your arms from the needle. Someone did this to you on purpose." Laura tried to sit up, but her body protested. "How long have I been here?" 3 days. You've been in and out. Fever from the river water, shock, whatever drugs were in your system. I'm no doctor, but I've done what I could." He offered her the cup. "Here, drink this. Herbal tea. It'll help." Laura took the cup with shaking hands, paranoid for a moment. More tea, more drugs. But Robert's eyes were kind, concerned. Not calculating like exams, not cold like Sophia's. She drank, and it was just tea. Simple, warm, real. "Why did you help me?" she asked. Robert was quiet for a moment. "Because I know what it's like to be thrown away by people you trusted. My ex-wife, she took everything from me. My business, my money, my pride. Left me with nothing but my daddy's old fishing shack and a boat. I came back here to my hometown, started over." He smiled sadly. "When I found you on that riverbank, I saw someone who'd been betrayed the same way I was. Couldn't just leave you there." Laura started to cry, really cry, deep sobs that shook her whole body. For her grandfather who tried to warn her, for her parents who dated and left her vulnerable, for the little girl who just wanted a friend and got a monster instead. Robert let her cry, occasionally patting her shoulder in awkward comfort. When the storm of tears finally passed, Laura wiped her eyes and looked at him. "I need your help," she said. "Please. They're going to take everything. My company, my money, my life. And they think I'm dead. That's the only advantage I have right now." "What do you need?" "A phone, a lawyer, and time to plan." Laura's jaw set with determination. "They wanted to destroy me. Instead, I'm going to destroy them." Over the next few days, as Laura recovered her strength, Robert made discreet calls on her behalf. He contacted Bernard Sterling, her grandfather's lawyer, using coded language they'd established years ago in case of emergencies. "It's a miracle," Bernard said when he arrived at Robert's shack, having told no one where he was going. He stared at Laura like she was a ghost. "They said you disappeared. Sam filed a missing person report 2 days ago, claimed you'd wandered off in a delusional state." "All lies," Laura said. Her voice was stronger now, her mind clear for the first time in months. "Everything was lies, Bernard. The mental illness, the medications, all of it. They were poisoning me." She told him everything. Sophia's arrival, the months of drugging, the affair, the pregnancy, the attempted murder. Bernard's face grew darker with each revelation. "We'll need proof," he said finally. "Your word against theirs won't be enough, especially with the medical records they've fabricated showing your mental instability." Then we get proof, Laura said firmly. Robert said he has connections in the city, people who can watch Sam and Sophia without being noticed. We document everything, every lie, every transaction, every move they make thinking I'm dead. And in the meantime, Laura's hand went to her stomach. She'd noticed the changes, the nausea, the exhaustion that wasn't just from recovery. She'd asked Robert to bring her a pregnancy test, and it had been positive. All those months of trying, and now when her world had collapsed, she was finally pregnant with Sam's child. In the meantime, she said, I survive, I heal, and I plan my return. Back at the Whitmore mansion, Sam and Sophia were living their best lives. With Laura missing and presumed dead, Sam had smoothly assumed control of Whitmore Enterprises. He'd convinced the board that Laura had been planning to name him her successor before her mental breakdown, had produced forged documents to support the claim. It's what she would have wanted, he told the board, his face appropriately sad. Before the illness took her, she trusted me completely. I owe it to her memory to protect everything she built. The board, sympathetic to the grieving husband, agreed. Sam became CEO with full operational control. The trust fund was still locked, wouldn't be accessible until the 5-year marriage anniversary, but with Laura gone, Sam could petition the courts to have it released early. Such a tragedy, Michelle Parker said at the emergency board meeting. That poor woman, to lose her mind like that, and then to just disappear. Sam dabbed at his eyes with a handkerchief. I keep hoping she'll come back, that maybe she's out there somewhere, confused but alive. But the police say, with the river searches coming up empty. He let his voice break convincingly. What the board didn't see was the smile Sam wore when he left the meeting, or the way he and Sophia celebrated that night with expensive champagne. To new beginnings, Sophia toasted, her small baby bump visible now in her fitted dress. To $500 million, Sam corrected, clinking his glass against hers. Sam wasted no time restructuring the company to his advantage. He fired longtime employees who'd been loyal to Laura, replacing them with people who owed him favors. He redirected company funds into accounts he controlled, always carefully, always within legal bounds. Technically. Ms. Patricia, the head housekeeper, who'd worked for the Whitmore family for 30 years, was one of the first to go. I'm so sorry, Patricia, Sam said, his voice dripping with false sympathy. But with Laura gone and the company restructuring, we need to make cuts. I'm sure you understand. Patricia's eyes were steely. I understand perfectly, Mr. Washington. I understand that you've been waiting for this moment since you were a boy. That girl loved you, trusted you, and you— Careful, Sam interrupted, his mask slipping for just a moment. Slander can be expensive. I'd hate for you to lose your pension over some misguided loyalty. Patricia left with her severance check, but not before stopping by the estate one last time. She stood under the magnolia tree where Laura and Sam had first become friends, and she wept for the little girl who'd lost everything twice. Sophia, meanwhile, was settling into her role as the lady of the manor. She redecorated Laura's bedroom, threw out all of Laura's clothes, and planned elaborate dinner parties where she played the gracious hostess. This is how it should have always been, she told Sam one evening as they dressed for yet another social event. Me by your side, not that cow. You're right, Sam agreed, adjusting his tie. You're everything she never was. Beautiful, sophisticated, worthy of this life. But sometimes late at night, Sam would lie awake and remember. Remember a 12-year-old girl with sad eyes who'd smiled at his dancing. Remember her laugh, genuine and full of joy. Remember the way she looked at him like he hung the moon. Then Sophia would stir beside him, and he'd push the memories away. Guilt was a luxury he couldn't afford, not when he was so close to having everything he'd ever wanted. Marcus Washington watched his son's transformation with a heavy heart. He'd been kept on as head gardener. Sam couldn't fire him without raising suspicions, but the distance between father and son had grown into a chasm. What have you done, boy? Marcus confronted Sam one evening in the garden. That girl is dead because of you, isn't she? Sam's face was cold. Laura wandered off in a delusional state. The police say what you told them to say. Marcus's voice shook with rage and grief. I know you, Samuel. I raised you. I know when you're lying, and you've been lying since the day that girl went missing. Be careful, old man, Sam said quietly. Accusations like that could cost you your job, your home, everything. I don't care about any of that. Marcus grabbed Sam's arm. Your mama, God rest her soul, would be ashamed. We raised you better than this. We taught you right from wrong. Sam jerked his arm away. You taught me to be the help, to bow and scrape and be grateful for scraps from the rich folks' table. Well, I'm done with that. I'm done being less than because of where I came from. So you became a murderer instead. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Was it worth it, son? Was it worth your soul? Sam turned and walked away without answering, leaving his father standing alone in the garden where it all began. This is not the end. Stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It's free. See you in the next one.